beautiful souls. Welcome to the Sensitive Starseed podcast. I'm Jenny Lyron, your Sensitive Starseed Empowerment Guide. Today's interview is with my new beautiful starseed friend, Eden Cause. Eden is a psychological empath, intuitive, master meditation teacher, and dimensional energy healer. She loves to pontificate about the Great Awakening. In 2017, Eden incurred a stage 4 lung cancer diagnosis. She had a near-death experience that you'll hear about in this podcast and spent 2 years of major recovery and rejuvenation to get back on her feet. She will be publishing her first book soon, and she hosts her own podcast called Just Be Spiritual Boom. Eden meets clients both remotely and face-to-face. She draws on a number of modalities, including consciousness, mindset counseling, God, divine light, vibration work, energy psychology, meditation, Reiki, mindfulness, even remote body work, and as she says, all the things. So let's launch right into this juicy interview now. Welcome, Eden Cause. You are my first official guest for the launching of the Sensitive Starseed podcast. So thank you so much for being here. Are you ready to shine your unique, beautiful light with us today?
Yes. And I'm so excited with being the first. I mean, that's so super cool. Yay.
Yay. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So we are going to launch into this beautiful interview. And I'd like to start by asking you, Eden, what does the Great Awakening mean to you? And what was your journey? I know that's a big question. What was your journey to waking up? We're curious, was it a particular event that triggered you, like for some people, or was it more of a slow kind of evolving process?
Okay. All right. Let's go. So let me start out by saying I've been doing deep spiritual work for over 20 years. So I was connected to spirit, connected to all that's greater and beautiful and light and that sort of thing. Yet I didn't know until, gosh, has it been 3 years ago, about the more of it, about, oh my, again, it's so huge and it encompasses our world, our education system, our medical system, and galactic, and so much bigger than just our Earth. So I had, I guess this is the best way to say it, asked my husband for a divorce 3 weeks before the lockdowns happened. And right before this, my mentor that I go to, I was talking to her, like she helped guide me through this separation process. And I remember I was sitting outside and she goes, "Hey, just heads up, the virus is not about the virus." And I trust her so implicitly. I remember just being kind of, I took a breath when she said that, not knowing exactly what that meant, yet that led me down the rabbit hole of discovery. And it was beautiful because there were hard times in terms of discovery. Yet it was a nice process for me in terms of, our government, history not being real. Because Jenny, there's so much. There's
Right.
so much. And I can't imagine if you are open to it all at once. For me, it needs to be a process. And it was so beautiful too. So one of my clients sent me Out of the Shadows just randomly, or was it Follow the Cabal? And I think Follow the Cabal. And that was a major component for me, because now I think at the time she might have had one or two videos for that. And I think they're like 25 at this point. Yet that goes into everything from, how much can I talk about, Jenny?
Well, we're going to go on YouTube. So we'll also go
Okay.
on Rumble and BitChute, but
Okay. So I'm just going to picture, just do this. So this.
Yeah.
And just our government and the world. And then going into, like, I always believed or knew that there was more to this earth in terms of galaxies and other beings. Yet I wasn't quite attuned to that until this process. Then that's what the Great Awakening means to me. It basically means that everything on our earth is not what it seems. And in terms of humanity, in terms of there being so much more, in terms of ascended beings, in terms of Pleiadians, Arcturians, like I didn't really know about all of this until that component. That's been about a year and a half. So the first year was just opening up to our world, and then still continuing to open up to our world, but yet more galactical more. So it has been quite an amazing process. There have been times I have cried and not wanted to be a part of this world, because a lot of the stuff is really heavy. I mean, when you get into mind where we've been programmed and what we believe in terms of letting go of all of that and opening up into the lies and going into truth and freedom, it takes a very strong person. Would you agree with that, Jenny? Are you a strong person in this?
Yes. Strong might be a word. Maybe spiritually prepared
Yes, that's a
for it.
good way to look at it. Yes.
Um, you know,
Yes.
I believe that people like you and I, this was kind of our soul's mission
Mm-hmm.
to help awaken others, but we agreed to that veil of forgetfulness and
Mm-hmm.
amnesia when we were incarnated. And then we'd have some sort of awakening, some kind of trigger that would bring
Yes.
it all back and um, kind of entice us to go down these rabbit holes and learn all this, which is really remembering. And so maybe for people like us, it's not as shocking as to someone who that's not really been their soul mission at this point.
That's
And
a very
so
that's a
it
very good
doesn't
point.
freak me out the way it, I'm seeing some people are hearing these things and they can't even start to go there because
Yes.
it just rocks their world so
Right.
much.
Right. And that's a very good point. If I didn't have the spiritual foundation that I have, it would have been so much harder. But having this trust in source and in God, however you want to display it, knowing that this is a spiritual battle and knowing that God has won, and holding, not even holding that faith, but just knowing that we are going from 3D to 5D, and we are in the process of it right now more than we have ever been. And the 5D is not only a reality in the future, it is now. And some of the things that I have done in the past 3 years, I would have never had the guts to do in terms of standing up, in terms of using my voice. There was one situation where I was at a school, and it was an orientation, and basically everyone, you had to wear a mask, and I didn't. And literally the only person, so there was a police officer that came in at one point, and I was like, is that for me? Yet it was so great because I took a breath in that situation and was just like, I'm going to let everybody see me smile and my face and how comfortable I am in this situation, even though I'm kind of sitting there going, oh my gosh, am I doing this? I was also in DC during the pivotal, well, January 6th. And when I told people that I've been called, a domestic terrorist, and I've lost friends, and my former relationship is completely, got this. And so I have experienced major, this is all a part of it, major discord, major splits from people, being called crazy, all of that goes along with it.
Yeah. So when you talk about that aspect of it, losing prior connections, having to really step into your power, what you fully believe in, like you're ready to die for almost your beliefs.
Yeah,
That
yes,
does
you
take
are.
strength. That does take
Mhm.
strength. I agree. It takes stamina and faith, which that word has kind of been overused in some ways, but yeah, just that deep knowing that source has our back, that this is our time to, choose the path of how we want, the future to look for us. And yet we're having to face some pretty dark truths that have
Yes.
been kept underground. And so that's part of the awakening.
Literally underground.
Literally, yeah.
Uh-huh.
All kinds of creepy things going on, or there have been. I'll say up till now. I like to always shift that energy of up till now, this has been going on, but I choose to see it unfolding in a different direction. But just like growing up in any way, sometimes the little fairy tales have to go away about the
Yes.
reality, and you have to see what's really going on, wake up to the matrix, all the control systems, all the institutions that we put faith in, like, education and
Yes.
healthcare, government,
And
and most of us thought that there was one part of the government that we could trust, right?
oh my God. And it's really
And now,
interesting when you talk about fairy tales as well, like Disney, how corrupt Disney is. And that's just, because we grew up on it and grew up on the fairy tales. And there were things that didn't sit with me, how, and all of them, the parents would die and, and when you like, and that only a man can save you. And so they're now clearly looking at them and the folks that grew up in the Disney system, like Britney Spears and, what's going on with them as well. So it is so deep. And this, again, is just the tip of the iceberg, what we're talking about.
yeah, yeah, there's some deep, deep rabbit holes, plenty of information. There's different, takes on it,
Yes.
spins, conclusions that can be derived. So I do the research, but I don't get too dogmatic or hung up on this is the right way and this person's got it right. Yeah, I'm just trying to soak it all in, synthesize it, and then go back to my heart, brain coherence allows me to have an intuitive hit, but stay open to other possibilities as I learn more.
Yes. And
But
that is where the challenge lies. I remember when East Palestine, which is I'm in Ohio currently, when that happened, which that's only 45 minutes for me. So a very toxic train wreck. I realized at that point that there was fear in this because I'm so close. And that's what is wanted within you, to have this fear, to have this concern. And it was at that pivotal moment that I just said, oh my gosh, look at what I'm doing. I really, again, to be of it, yet not in it. And it's so hard to do that, yet it's not at the same time, because if you choose to live in 5D now, what is created for you, because we are such magnificent creators and so manifestors, that if we are there now in some degree, however, it's amazing. You can have abundance right now. You can have beauty right now. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect within this, because just a couple days ago, I went through this moment again of feeling lonely and isolated, because part of this is you are casting off tons of relationships. For me, I would say probably 80% of family and at times, just being a human being, it is just kind of like, oh my gosh, what have I done? Well, just going through this rationalization in my head, well, I needed to do this and this is good. And yet it does occasionally just go, oh, okay. Well, here I am. So that is the great thing about meeting you and also doing the podcast, is there are lots of people in my area that know what's going on from a bigger picture perspective. Yet now connecting with people worldwide and these groups of people that know, it is so refreshing and so empowering to know, again, you are not alone. You are not crazy. You are not some conspiracy theorist. You know what's going on, and so do they. Yay!
yeah, so I guess that's part of the awakening process, is to first wake up to the darkness. We initially are going to get mad and fearful and freak out. That's normal. And then our call to action is to rise above it, not go into fear, but choose love and compassion, even for the dark. So our call to action is to rise above the fear, choose love, choose compassion, even for the dark
Yes.
side, and that's the real challenge, because the tendency would be, you mother, where I'm gonna, let's start this war, how dare you, because some of it is atrocious, right? But I believe those dark energies feed off of low vibrations. So that's why everything's been set up here to keep us in, perpetual war and violence and hatred and competition, separation, right? Divide and conquer type thing. So, do you remember in Dr. Seuss's The Grinch That Stole Christmas? Did you ever see that show when you were little?
Oh, yeah.
The original. At the very end, the Grinch wants to make everybody miserable, so he steals all their food and presents. But they come out, the little Who's and Whoville, and they all hold hands and they sing, and the light, the star comes into their circle. And I always hold that vision of that's what we need to do, even with the dark doing their best to mess us up.
What is pivotal for me during this process, because I completely agree. This ascension is to accept the darkness, and because it is us, it's not separate from us. So one of the beautiful things for me was in discovering past lives, which is really parallel lives, probably until recently, all of them for me were showing me as a really dark person. Like there was one where I was a serial killer, so I got to see me doing those acts. There was one where I was a ruler in Asia, like a not just a city, but of countries. And I was a male and basically caused war, killing, took women from their husbands, made them prostitutes. I mean, it was just, and when I felt these, like, you feel them, that they're real within you, crying. So I also know that these things that are happening out in the world, that I'm just not this angelic person who's just working on goodness right now. I have done these things. And I also recently had a dimensional seeing where I was involved in this satanic cult group and was a member of the cult group. And we massacred people. And, I did that. So none of this is separate from me. So that was key. And also going, this is not only just how to accept it, how to have empathy for it, and how to bring it into your soul without bringing it in. Yet it's all of us. All of these pieces are us. We are not separate from the killing that has happened. We have also, like the United States has committed so many atrocities, and with us being Americans, we are a part of it. Even if we weren't knowledgeable, we are still a part of it because we let it happen. So now we can start to change some of that.
Yeah. So that leads me to a question I hadn't planned
Yes.
on asking, but let me see if I can form it right. So there are people who even question that there is a higher power and intelligence, a source, because they always say, if there was a God,
Right. Why would this be?
why? What is the purpose of having us, at least in this 3D world, suffer so much? Even little kids who come in innocent. How do you explain that to people?
I explain it that first, on planet Earth, which is amazing, we have free will. So it's not like we come down here. There are plans. put out, that we agree to as a soul. Yet when we are here, we can go that path, we can change it. Again, I'm imagining there are millions of ways for this to be. Yet when you have this faith and you know that everything within this world is God-centered, even the stuff that doesn't look that way, that we all come here just to learn lessons. That's all this really is. So when you can take a step back from that, it all becomes clear. It all becomes all right. So, I have a special needs daughter, and it was caused by this one medicine that I was on. Yet I also know that, I could get so mad with the pharmaceutical company and all that. Yet I know that if it hadn't happened this way, there would have been some other way, because this was destined for us to be a part of. And having her in my life accelerated my extension. Without her, I would not be how I am right now. So she was my greatest teacher. Okay, then Jenny, okay, I in terms of having this grounding through the Great Awakening, in terms of, looking at disaster and being okay with it, I had this incredible infection 7 years ago. So I was already connected to God, believed, had faith, yet I had a near-death experience. So that consecrated things to a much higher degree. So can I go through that story quickly?
Yeah, please share that story. It's amazing. It's
Oh,
amazing.
well,
I
thank
would
you.
definitely like the audience to know what you went through and how you came out on the other side.
I came out on the other side. All right.
Literally.
So yes. So 7 years ago, within a week, I went from feeling great to plummeting. I mean, to the point where if my then husband hadn't said we need to go to the doctor, I would have stayed in bed, because it was to the point where I did not want to move. I didn't care about eating. I didn't care about talking. I didn't care about anything. So within a week's time, we ended up going to the emergency room. And very quickly, through a CAT scan, there was a lesion on my lung and 3 in my brain. So they categorized it, or diagnosed it with a high percentage that it was stage 4 lung cancer. And everybody's like, have you smoked? Have you, and I was like, okay. And at the time, it was great because it was an explanation in terms of why I was feeling so crappy. So part of me was like, okay, we've got a diagnosis here. Yet, because of my spiritual practice, again, and knowing that everything, that I am in charge of me, and I'm actually in charge of this diagnosis. And for some reason, I brought this to myself. So it wasn't a, why me, God? Why did this happen to me? It was kind of like, okay, well, this is going to be a very interesting adventure. And I don't quite connect to the cancer yet. We'll see what comes of this. So in short, it was a 2-month crazy up and down. Ended up having 2 brain surgeries, craniotomies, 2 years of healing, and learning how to walk again, which that didn't take too long. Learning how to write again, so much. Yet after my first craniotomy, which was, I think, 2 weeks after being in the hospital, I was in the ICU in Akron, Ohio. And this was the only time, by the way, that I allowed myself to be there by myself at night, because crazy things can happen at night. So it's always good to have someone there. I woke up from my first brain surgery. It was probably 1 a.m. And this was the only time anything crazy in the ICU happened, which, the ICUs can be pretty crazy. So my door was open as well, and I couldn't talk. So suddenly someone was brought in. Seems like they had lost the function of their body from the neck down. So crying, wailing, I heard throwing up, and then I heard staff also laughing. So I was just sitting there being connected to the hell and the heaven, all of it. And then it was like I got this little tap on my shoulder. They said, hey, this is God right here. Hey, hello. Oh my gosh, you are being witness to truth on earth, that it is this heaven, that it is this hell. And you, Eden, if you would like, you can step out of it. We'll just make it where all you have to do is close your eyes and this life will be done. And at the time, it was so it was so great because I didn't have anything left to do, and knowing that our soul continues, I wasn't worried about my kids. I have 2 kids, because I would still be there somehow. So it wasn't like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be gone and I'm going to miss these things. So I listened, and basically, Source or God said, it, it, it's going to be great if you decide that you want to end it now. Oh, where your soul is going to head is going to be wonderful. Yet, let me give you this little nugget. If you decide to stay, because basically with the surgery, the doctors had said, we don't know if you're going to be able to walk again or eat. We don't know what's going to happen to you. So I still sitting there, not being able to talk. I had no idea what my body was going to be like. So Source basically said, literally, there's no judgment. You can go, you can stay. We are not here to direct you into one way or another. Yet we would like to give you this choice. If you decide to stay Eden, we can tell you you're going to have exponential growth. You are going to, okay, we're not also going to say this is going to be easy. We're not going to tell you what the future is. We're not going to tell you that you're going to be a walk. Like, essentially, you have this choice right now. What do you want to do? And I sat there and I contemplated it, and it didn't feel like very long either. I just knew that I want to finish this out. I want to see if you're saying that this is going to be really good for me. Okay. And that this is going to excel me. Oh my gosh. Okay. This is kind of like the easy way out, even though I know it's going to be great. Yet I am here to do the hard work, Jenny. And I look back at the day and I'm like, oh my gosh, little did you know what was going to come. And it's so awesome to tell you that, because where I am right now, I chose this, to be here, to do this challenging work. And basically in that moment, I said, okay, let's do it. And the thing to me was, I'm going to eat in the morning when it's time. I'm ready, because food is life right now. And I think the nurse came in a while back, a few minutes later. It seemed like a few minutes, maybe it was an hour. I don't know. And I articulated, I don't know how and I couldn't find the button just to press for help either. I didn't, like, it was all just, I couldn't find it, didn't have the acumen to do that. She came in and somehow I got it out of my mouth to call my husband. And typically he always showed up. And of course, this was late at night. He showed up, I think, a couple hours later and brought food. And at that, just sitting there, I remember him coming in, and I was just grateful to be there, grateful when the food arrived, grateful that I had an appetite, and was just like, okay, what's going to be next? Okay. And I end up having a second brain surgery. You just don't know. Okay. And I didn't have stage 4 cancer. It turned out to be Nocardia Beijingensis, which is this infection that you breathe in through your nose. So I was in Mexico, probably not long before that, helping a school ground. So there was all this dirt, and apparently I inhaled it in. But I'm also aware that it didn't have to be this. It was going to happen to me, because there were so many things spiritually that I that I needed to experience in terms of helping my clients. I was also, at this point, I had a studio, which was awesome. There were like 3 people working with me. We sold products. And basically this event said, you don't do that anymore, because I was spending so much time marketing, doing all the business stuff, where now my studio is at my home. So I do my work 100% of the time. I do very little marketing, so much as word of mouth right now. And I the podcast I enjoy. I love everything that I am doing at this point, even though sometimes I get a little, this part of us, but yet it's so fun to talk about this too, because I am so excited that I had that time. I am really excited where I am now. And it's so fun to talk to you about this, Jenny, because even just going back through it and realizing what is going on right now, what if I had missed this opportunity, like to watch it from the other side and be coaching you from the other side, going, yeah, got this, but to actually be in it and to be able to help people just like you are ascend and go through this process where you're doing it more on a starseed level. I feel that my place right now is to help people who don't know anything, like to help get traumas off, to help and my clients are all levels of knowing, and I am good with that. I'm good with planting seeds. I'm good with helping them know more to their pace, because like we talked about before, wow, there is so much. There's so much. So I'm good with just doing a little bit, because my goal overall is just to make people happier and lighter and better and more connected. So that's what I do. All right. How was that? Is there anything else I should mention in there?
Yeah, so that sounds like your Starseed mission. To me, you sound like a starseed.
I
Would you
am.
embrace that for
Oh yeah.
yourself? So a
Yes.
soul, a person whose soul has had many lifetimes as higher dimensional beings, other star systems, and then raised their hand, volunteered to come to Earth School, which is, I've heard some people say that being in this 3D planet Earth, as beautiful as it is, it is very challenging, which gives us so many opportunities for growth. And that's why we do it
Yes.
voluntarily, and we're also here to help with that ascension.
Mhm.
For me, it's personally helping star seeds wake up to their true potential and power, and to manage their symptoms, because we're usually highly sensitive to
Yes.
everything, right? So,
Yes.
but it sounds like for you, maybe your mission is to, like you said, uplift the masses, even the ones that aren't, you know, star seeds are on this awakening path. And that's beautiful too, because that all of that raises the vibration of the population to match what's happening to the planet on its own. I think the planet is already ascending through the frequencies from the sun, is what I hear. So thank you so much for your service. Yeah,
Thanks. Thanks
you
for
are helping.
thinking.
And it's like, what is that about the tide raises all boats?
Oh, I like that. I haven't heard that before.
Yeah, I don't know the exact quote, but if you raise the level of the water, all the boats are going to raise up. So
Mm.
do whatever we can. And I know you see clients both in person and remotely. And do you want to describe how you're helping people, coaching, guiding, healing?
Yes. Yes. And again, it's really interesting to talk about, because I have people that have been clients for a while. I'm like, oh, describe what I do. And they're like, I can't, you just have to experience it. So it's really interesting to put this to attempt to put it in words. Yet I will. Okay, let me start with, again, seeing a whole bunch of people with different backgrounds, different faiths. I have born again Christians. Um, I have people that are open to the galactical, all of it. So for those that are open, I always bring in everything. Yet what I talk about is based on your vibration and what you're ready for. So I speak in light languages. No matter who comes in, there these Octurians that are around constantly. There's so much light in my house. I mean, it is just like being able to tap into all that. And for example, if someone comes in and they're super religious, I can talk about that too, because basically I say, which is true, everything in my work is God centered. And if someone comes into me where they're also having a struggle with their faith, this isn't like, oh, you have to believe in God and you have to, no, come on in. Let's just, wherever you start, I'm not here to pass judgment on you. I'm not here to tell you, well, this is how it is. So because I am a psychological intuitive too, when you talk to me, I can feel where things are harbored in your body, where blocks are. So we talk a good bit and then do body work on you. So if I see you face to face, I have a table that you're on. But again, energy knows no bounds. So if we do remote, I will do energy work on you. So tap into these areas. I'm going to look for a second. tap into the areas that are blocked, that need to be opened. If you are comfortable language, I basically say, hey, who knows what's going to come through me? Pretty much all my clients are good with, I do tones and frequencies that just come up. And there are some really cool ones that are happening right now that are not humanly possible. There's one that's like this clicking. Oh, actually, there are three. One that's like this clicking, one vibration that is like there are three voices involved, and there is another that just is this that every time it happens, I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is so great. And I've had clients also go, how did you do that? And even those that aren't aware of everything that goes on, I just go, hey, that was pretty cool, right? And they're like, yeah, that's all I have to say about it. So all of this is about raising your vibration, about clearing stuff off. So it's, we can go into words psychic, intuitive, energy, dimensionality. I've been doing meditation for a huge number of years, which that has really been the key in terms of opening me up, in terms of, doing everything that I do, because that I feel that is a key process. And I talk to many of my clients how to do that, how to start. Why don't I tag into that for just a moment? Because I do feel that it is your connection, your individual connection to source, to God, to the universe, where you don't have to have an intermediary tell you what to think, how to feel. You can feel it and be attached to it yourself, because we are all attached to it. But yet just doing that and sitting in the quiet, which can be very challenging, because it is supposed to be challenging, because we're taught with this monkey mind, you have to be doing, you have to, especially in Western society, you have to compete, you have to have drive, you have to have this. To sit in quiet and just to sit there, you're doing nothing. That's not good for you. You're not being a contributor to society. And basically the infection for me, so my company is called Just Be, and my mentor really laughs at that. She's like, Eden, you created this name for your company because your challenge in this life is to really learn how to just be. And everything that I've been through, if you want to call it that, is to know that in this quiet, oh my gosh, I'm feeling it right now, is, oh, I'm getting a little emotional too, is everything. Ooh. And that
I agree.
we are everything, and we are precious. We are loved beyond measure. It's just wonderful.
Yes. And I think that's why meditation is so crucial for any sort of personal transformation. That's what we need to do to rise above that fear we were talking about, because the fear is really based on the illusion of separation from
Yes.
source, right? Even if you're religious, sometimes there's not that real, heartfelt connection like what you're just experiencing right now that brings you to tears,
Yes.
right?
And there is so much dogma with religion too about being a sinner, being born into this, being born as a sinner, basically being born that you are no good, that people are taught the moment that you arrive here, you are not good. And your whole life is based on somehow this judgment and being good. And only this way can you be saved, when it is, you are born, you are light when you come into the world. And so many people finding that again and connecting to that again. That's what this Great Awakening is about too. There's so many components to it all.
Right. I do want to acknowledge something about what we were
Yeah.
talking about at the beginning of the whole pandemic, whatever you want to call it, that whole COVID episode, which maybe they're trying to bring back.
Oh, I sure hope they are.
But yeah, so I give gratitude every day. Is horrific in my opinion as what we saw unfold with that. It was a huge, huge trigger. I mean, for
Yes.
you, for me, we got to see, the true colors of
Yes.
local people and government and, see the bigger picture. So it really helped add to, what's really going on.
Yes.
And so thank you, darkness, for that, right?
Mhm.
Right. And now the
And
light can shine even brighter.
right. And if it happens again, okay. So I believe, again, this is not political at all, that Trump is one of the white hats and a good guy. Okay. Also stating that no one is going to be a savior, that we all we are our own saviors in this, and it is our job to rise above to see the light. Yet, what is so awesome is his mugshot. So I'm from Georgia originally. His mugshot and being tried in Fulton County suddenly has elevated this unity. Okay, so much of the Democrats and all that, and Biden was basically to help create this separation through Black Lives Matter and Antifa, which was all funded by rich white men as well. Yet there is this huge now unity among the Black community with Trump. And I am so excited by that, because all of this is unity, and noticing that each step is this great misstep. And if masks are instituted again and lockdowns, this to me is going to be a huge advantage, because I know so many people at this point that are not going to accept it. So I think it's going to allow this huge uprising that has never been seen before. I am just like, I'm excited with all of it, because I know right now they are struggling to keep us in fear, to keep us down, and they're going to do whatever they feel that they need to do. And with each step, I'm like, oh my gosh, that was a misstep, and oh, there's a misstep there, and oh my God, how many people are you going to be waking up in this process?
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yay.
I know we're getting close to the end of our time. I want to wrap up that segment there with just saying that I think they're showing their cards because
Yes.
they've actually lost the spiritual war. And so they're pushing back harder than ever, which, when it's in people's face, the way
Yes.
it's been coming out, that is when people are like, oh, no, 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 you're not. Fool me once, but don't fool me
Yes.
twice. I'm not that stupid. And so I believe, yeah, it will backfire on them. Without getting into any details, I'll just say that I believe that there's a lot of cosmic support, help,
I
right,
would agree.
right in our
Boop,
galaxy.
boop.
They're working with the White Hats, the Earth Alliance. And so Alana Danan is someone I follow who's got some really great news. Check out her YouTube channel, because if what she's saying is true, man, even in the next year, amazing things are happening,
Yeah.
right? And we still have to do our work. Like you said, there's no savior, but there's a lot of galactic races, star family, that is here to assist us if we choose that path, which I do. Yeah.
Me too.
Um,
Yummy.
so I just want to say that, first of all, I had a session remotely with Eden. It was amazing. I highly recommend it. I definitely had an energetic shift from that. Also, she has an amazing podcast called Just Be Spiritual Boom. And you should check out. I'll put in my show notes all the links to everything that you do. I know you're on a ton of platforms. And she's interviewed people like Sasha Stone, Carrie Cassidy, Tom Palladino. I was looking through, and yeah,
Oh,
some amazing guests. And I was interviewed a few weeks ago by Eden, so we'll put a link
yes.
to that one. We had fun. And you are going to be publishing a book soon.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, the book is basically about what we talked about, having a foundation through this great awakening. So it is not to go down rabbit holes and, oh, let me show you this. So I do put a couple things in there. Yet it does talk about meditation and gratitude and all these things that will help you ascend as you're discovering these things. So it is primarily for folks that are just, oh, what's happening in the world? Oh, read this. This will help guide you through it. This will help you have this foundation. So I started the book, amazingly, Jenny, after the infection. So going, oh, I'm going to use the infection as how that grew my spirit. And then I became aware of everything going on with the Great Awakening, stopped for a while, because I'm like, oh my gosh, my infection is really small now compared to everything that's going on in the world. And through my podcast, met a really interesting story, met this gentleman that was going to be my editor. He just passed away a couple weeks ago. Love him. So he is helping through this, but again, really interesting how that came down. Met him and he basically said, Eden, you need to start writing again. So to take even the infection event, and it's a chapter where before it was going to be the whole book, basically talking about the near-death experience, going, hey, guy, I know what's going on. I also experienced this. So if you think I'm some girl that's just sitting here going, oh, I haven't had hard times in my life, well, let me share this with you. Oh, yeah, I've been through stuff, so I can relate to hard times. And, so yeah. So I am right now looking for an editor again. So someone who understands the Great Awakening, just going through the final part of chapters and making sure everything's succinct. So hopefully within a month or two, I will be ready.
Okay, well, if there's any editors listening to this, or somebody
Please.
knows of an editor, get a hold of Eden. Yeah, because I
Thank
can't
you.
wait for that book to come out.
Oh,
I will
thanks.
be first one to
Oh, you're sweet. Thank
get that
you.
on Amazon. Yeah, very cool. So we're going to wrap up here with you telling people how to find you, and then we're going to have Eden kind of sign us off with a beautiful short little meditation.
Oh, isn't
Yeah.
that great too? After talking about meditation. So my website is edenjustbe.com, and my podcast, like Jenny said, is on so many platforms. I don't know if there's a platform that I'm not on. So just not to be corny, but yeah, because I
Oh, that's good. Get the word out,
Spotify,
girl.
yeah,
Yeah,
Apple
love it.
Podcasts, Google Podcasts. So just search Just Be Spiritual Boom and you should be able to find me. And if you go to my website, all the podcast links are there as well. So if you have a special place you like to listen or view. And I also encourage you to watch them because it's so fun to watch people's reactions. And it's very personal. Like my goal is, just like we did today, just to make a connection, to really to find out more about my guest on a heart level. Hmm. Shall we go right into the
Yeah,
meditation?
I'll just say, if people are watching this, they resonate with either of us or both of us, and you want to do your part to help with the awakening, share our videos, our YouTube channels, our interviews. I have a Sensitive Starseed School
Yes.
membership where I help people. And so subscribe to our channels and like and comment and all that stuff. We really, really appreciate it. Okay, Eden, let's have you get us into a nice, quick little beautiful meditation.
Great. And before I do that, let me add I had a session with Jenny as well. She's everything that she says she is. Okay. This is really cool. As I spoke about meditation being the bomb, I'm going to go through some preliminaries as well. So for me, and I recommend you either, like for me, I start a meditation taking a bow and I close it the same way. So if that's comfortable for you, do that. Yet I would encourage you to do something that starts your meditation and something that closes it. So if you just want to do a little head nod, that's good. So just something that says, I'm starting this sacred process and I'm ending this sacred process. The other thing that I highly recommend is hands open versus touching fingers. So most of the time you see in meditation pictures, people doing this. These are all different hand mudras, and the energy by doing this changes. This means open palm. I'm open and I'm ready to go. I'm ready to receive. All right. There are times now where I go into it and it's complete darkness, which the darkness is great. It's quiet. There are times I go in complete lightness. There are times I go in with questions that I want answers to, and to really hear my intuition and to hear my guides. So meditation, oh my gosh, it can be everything. So let's get started because I'd like to bring us more into this new earth. So whenever you're ready, take a bow or do your beginning. Hands go open, down. And I would also, if you're sitting in a chair, to connect both of your feet to the ground and just get comfortable. It doesn't mean you have to be setting up a certain way. You have to breathe a certain way. Meditation is for everybody. And the only way it has to be done is your way. Okay, because I can do this, and Jenny is here with us as well, and I'm going to include her in this. We, at this moment, are going to bring the light to you, and it's like drenching you in it, yet in a way that's very comfortable and very gentle, yet it is strong. Because we see you, we have faith in you, we have faith in what is going on. And I'm smiling as I'm talking about this. And I believe also within this ascension, we're not all going to ascend at the same time, that everybody has their process, yet everyone will get there, get to this point. And if you're here with us today, you're on, let's call it the fast track. So I would like to first see all of us communing together and this hugs and just heart and just going, oh, you're here. And oh my gosh, this is so fantastic that there is just this community that we are forming right now. And we're looking around, and this earth now is so beautiful, unpolluted. Nature is just abounding. Plants are abounding. Growth is abounding. And then we look down at ourselves and we are just good, healed, strong. And whatever clothing we're in is just comfortable. And we're looking at each other in just amazement. And then just taking a breath that, oh God, we are here. And it's been quite a journey, knowing that people right now are just waking up with the snap of the fingers, knowing that for Jenny and I, for example, we have been through this process for years, helping to get people ready where they can just come in, see. So being all together, forming a circle, and it doesn't matter if there are thousands or millions of us here, forming a circle and holding hands and just feeling this energy and feeling this connection that has always been there. Yet we didn't remember it. We're held back from it, all of it. Yet right here, right now, it exists. Okay. And as we go throughout our day, even though I'm going to ask us to let go of hands and come to in a second, we carry this energy with us always. And whenever you are down, whenever you are having hard times or getting in a funk, remember this moment. All right, I'm going to count to 3. So for me, again, taking a bow. So 1, 2, 3. Coming. Present. And I have to thank Jenny. I have to thank all of you guys. Also, this is very helpful for me. So and that's one of the reasons I do this. I do it for you. I also do it for me because I love it. And it's great.
Beautiful. Oh my gosh, thank you so much.
Oh,
That was
thanks. That was
amazing.
fun.
I think I'm going to edit that little part out for myself where I have meditation to do that again because that was so beautiful. It reminded me of my vision of the Who's down in Whoville or whatever they were.
Oh, no kidding, right? I didn't even plan that, but yeah, that's so correct.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love that.
So great things are happening for humanity. It's all part of the divine plan and we're going to be
Yes.
okay. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you,
Awesome.
beautiful soul, Eden. And I love your name. I know it was your given name, right?
Yes, it sure
Right?
was. My parents had
That's
no idea.
yeah, I think that was the reason for that. So thank you for all you do for the world, and we will connect again soon.
We will, because Jenny and I have a connection outside of this. Whoop, whoop. All right,
Me
y'all. See
too.
y'all later. Thank you so much. Thank
Big
you,
love to
Jenny.
everyone. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for watching. And please comment, like, subscribe, and hit that notifications bell. I really want to know what you think of all this. So share your voice below, Starseeds.